Hello, you again. Welcome to the Medicine Show. This is the third video in the series, The Cell. If you haven't watched the ones before, I would suggest you do so. So let's get to destroying the walls of the cell we call religion. First, this video, more than any video that comes before it, relies on many principles already explained in prior videos, especially those in the Medicine Show Cell video series. If in this video right now one does not know what I'm talking about and why, then they may get angry and do something stupid. My function is not to make you angry at me. It is to cause you to reevaluate your base assumptions and prove the validity of those assumptions to yourself. There is nothing wrong with being angry, and since you are responsible for your life experience, then you are free to be as angry with yourself as you need to be in order to motivate yourself to revisit your own assumptions. Second, it is not for me to decide what is good or bad for you to believe, or even compel you to believe it. I am not interested in fighting over the particulars of what it is that anyone believes or what they do not believe. That is the responsibility of every single man and woman to discern and decide for him or herself. When I speak of religion, I am talking about an organizational structure and a general mechanism, and not the inherent characteristics of how one conducts their individual relationship with the supreme conscious authority in the universe. I am not concerned with whether you believe in a supreme conscious authority or not. I will not tolerate any comments that use particular characteristics of a particular religion as the basis of any rational argument. It is not for me to conclude that anyone is entrapped by the mechanism of religion, but only how those mechanisms in general sense are used to entrap, or more accurately, how we ourselves use those mechanisms to willfully entrap ourselves. The word religion comes from the Latin religio, meaning to tie or bind. That is its function. The concept of religion has been around for a very long time, and we have become very good at employing it to control people. Like government and finance, religion began by employing natural law principles to create control hierarchies that divide people into groups. Religion was an early form of government, and still maintains much of that structure. Now, that knowledge of natural law is seldom used. All three cell walls, including religion, deal purely in fiction. As seen in the power model from the prior videos, we notice that religion, being a wall of the cell, also operates entirely in fiction. That's not to say that spirituality or on is fiction, but only that religion, as we most often experience it today, can often lead away from a true reconnection. Functions of religion. Religion attempts to control access to a comfortable afterlife through required adherence to policies, procedures, and material contributions. Religion controls which behaviors are good and which are bad by its own arbitrary and evolving standard. Religion controls the interpretation of events and which are divinely sanctioned and ordained, and what they mean. Religion maintains a probabilistic view of reality in that hardship is caused by not adhering to religious doctrine. Religion controls and ensures that science also maintains a probabilistic view of reality, such that events are governed by the illusion of luck, chance, and accident through false scientific theory. Religion maintains the illusion that the supreme natural authority lies outside oneself, and that one's base state is that one exists in excommunication with that authority. Religion attempts to transfer an individual's strict responsibility from any man or woman to fictional, evil entities created under religion's own arbitrary definition. Religion grants absolution and forgiveness for those that violate religious policy. Religion claims absolute contractual control over one's spiritual entity. Religion-government relationship. Government creates the fictional corporate entities of worship. Government accounts for the activities of the corporate religious entities. Government and religion determine the base fundamental legal framework that determines both government and religious legal policy to ensure consistency of the illusion. Government determines the permissible legal policies that are promoted by religious interpretation. Government provides the legal detention punishment for those in breach of religious social contract. Government maintains the illusion of freedom of religion. Finance-religion relationship. Finance controls the physical assets of religion. Finance controls the issuance of permissible charitable contribution and tithing through fictional, legal tender financial instruments. Religion is financed through these same colorable financial means. Religion supports finance through corrupt dogma, doctrine, and spiritual interpretation. Primary religion deceptions. Religion promotes the idea that one is broken and unclean, and that their suffering is due to that failure. One must do something, feel a certain way, or think a certain way to be redeemed. Religion controls the entry into a comfortable afterlife and who is permitted to enjoy it. Religion pollutes principles and precedent in natural law with religious fiction of law to maintain a state of constant confusion and continual conflict that leads to constant criminality. Religion claims that the living spirit that dwells in a man or woman is separate from supreme conscious authority, and claims that religious leaders are given the power and responsibility to control that entity. Religion maintains that simply questioning the interpretation of law by the religious leaders is wrong or heresy. Religion violates its own policies, but punishes those who do not obey those same policies. Religion creates an illusion of authority and power while keeping the proof a secret. Bad things occur not because one does not exist in accord with natural law, but rather by not doing what one is told to do by the religious leaders themselves. The base presumed state of all people is that they are evil, wrong, and are not forgiven. The primary fatal vulnerabilities of religion. A religion cannot prove divine authority or divine power. A religion cannot prove even the existence of a comfortable afterlife or an uncomfortable afterlife. A true spiritual awakening can only occur after one divorces themselves from religious confusion, sometimes even according to their own religious teaching. The structural elements of the religious machine are formed on unlawful colorable contract, colorable corporate entities, and colorable fictions of law. The devoutly religious, by design, have willingly transferred all their individual responsibility to either a shepherd or a fictitious evil entity, and so they are not strictly responsible and therefore enjoy absolutely no lawful authority. The ultimate weapon. All things occur in strict accord with natural law, which can easily be observed, proven, and known to anyone who is sane, competent, and strictly responsible for all that occurs in their life experience without any need of religion. So now let's look at some ways that religion is used to manipulate people. In this model, the base assumption of the people in the religious club is that we are all broken or born naughty. We are presumed that way because of some fictional naughty being that is responsible for making you naughty and is in control of everything you do. The divine being allows this because the divine being loves you and wants you to join the special club. In this model, if you are not part of the club, then you are doing the will of the naughty one. And if you do not join the special club when they in the club say so, then they claim that they have the divine right to kill you. The club determines through the interpretation of their own rules what is permissible and what is not. In order to join the club, you have to navigate all these ridiculous hoops and obstacles just to enter the clubhouse. Then you have to go through a gauntlet of club members who intentionally do not follow the club rules, and they make you do all kinds of stupid things. When you finally get to that special place in the clubhouse, then you are redeemed, at which point you are forgiven for all the naughty things you have done, and you have divine permission to continue doing naughty things and be forgiven. If you are chosen by the club, then you get to keep stuff that new members surrender in order to join the club. Once one gets sick of the club nonsense, you can loop back to the beginning at a new clubhouse and do it all over again. In this model, your suffering doesn't end, it just takes different forms. I will just be showing you two models. I will leave it to you to find the other different variations if you like. In the second model, again, you are broken and naughty, and that is caused by the fictional naughty entity. The base assumption here is that if you are naughty, the people in the club must kill you because the divine being says so. That is, unless you willingly submit yourself to a contract. The contract requires you, again, jump through all kinds of hoops and obstacles. If you do not accept the contract, the members of the club claim the divine right to kill you. If you enter into the contract and break the terms and conditions of the contract, then the members again claim they have the divine right to kill you or punish you by cutting off parts of your body. Once you enter into the contract, then you are stuck. There's no looping back to the beginning on this one because if you try to leave, the club members kill you. Once again, like the previous model, your suffering doesn't end, it just takes different forms. Often people are required to give up responsibility over their lives and property and waive all their rights. Many are trapped pretending that the suffering they feel while trapped in a religious construct is wonderful. There is often much guilt and fear of being exposed as not truly part of the club. Often the punishment and ridicule keeps people stuck under the control of criminal reprobates and other people in the group who will not dare act or think independently. How religion supports government and finance. The most dangerous way we allow religion to impact our experience is that we permit religion to set the base assumptions of who we are, where we are, why we are here, and what we are required to do. Religion filters the natural law and promotes the acceptance of fictions of law to be accepted as natural law. Religion promotes fiction to be accepted as substance. That includes fiction of law or colorable law as having the same enforceability as natural law. Religion also splits people up into those who are accepted and those who are not accepted, and treat those groups differently. This is enforced through government and finance. Religion also sets the assumption of what is valuable and what is not. Often what it deems of value is colorable and a fiction, which again is enforced by government and finance. Government has power only because of the illusion of religion and finance. Finance has power only because of the illusion of government and religion. Religion has power only because of the illusion of government and finance. We cannot change one without willingly subjecting ourselves to the illusory power of the other two. If you resist government, then religion and finance become punitive. If you resist religion, then government and finance become punitive. If you resist finance, then government and religion becomes punitive. You cannot make something real out of fiction. You cannot change something that one has no power to change, because it is all entirely founded on fiction. How about we simply toss out the entire model and use a model that actually works and does not exist merely to create the illusion of control through suffering and fiction? We're all part of an infinite being that exists in eternity. That singular supreme consciousness experiences reality as an illusion through countless sensory portals that we call bodies. This is the true living church that consists of a body wherein the living divine spirit of consciousness dwells. The human body does not have rights. Any claim of human rights is considered under law as fraud and is irresponsible. This is the trick we play on ourselves. The flesh puppet has no rights. Rights are divine and are exercised exclusively by the divine living spirit. Our body is the exclusive, unalienable property of the divine spirit. Without that spirit, the body is not conscious, it is unresponsive, or it's dead. When the body is asleep or in a coma, it is unresponsive. If the body is damaged, its capacity to act in a responsible way may be impaired, but the divine spirit within the body does have rights. One is not permitted to exploit that impairment of another or deny their body our protection simply because it is unresponsive or acts in irresponsible ways. Other responsible people around them have a responsibility not to allow them to come to harm. In the same way, we must treat children who have not yet the capacity for full responsibility to come to harm. For instance, a child does not have the capacity to consent to molestation, as the child is not responsible until the age of consent. A parent who is responsible does not have the right to violate a child in that way, nor allow the child to be subject to the dubious will of another. Since most people of today have not lived a day of their lives truly being strictly responsible, they are not aware that a responsible parent just does not do that. It's not a matter of choice. When one truly accepts responsibility, they find themselves unable to think and do certain things that cause uncomfortable consequences or suffering. Once one truly accepts responsibility, then their attention is largely focused on the immediate now. If one responds correctly, or in accord with natural law, to events occurring in the now, then they can avoid suffering. If they act according to natural law, in that they do not forcibly act in a way contrary to natural law, then they will be exercising a right, and the consequences will be easily borne by the man or woman acting. If they act contrary to natural law, then the consequences will be a burden and binding like a shackle, or what we call suffering. Not paying sufficient attention to events in the immediate now automatically leads to suffering because one cannot act in accord with natural law. And if they are irresponsible or unresponsive, they may not act to avoid a dangerous natural occurrence. Being able to recognize the cause and its predictable consequences requires an ever-increasing attention span. One with a short attention span has a difficult time recognizing the cause and effect relationships that occur in their lives. That short attention span may lead many to falsely believe in luck, chance, or accident. Ignorance of the natural law also automatically leads to suffering because one renders him or herself incapable of responding according to the law and thus cannot exercise a right. Any force by one applied against the will of another responsible man or woman who are acting in accordance with the law is an act that leads to suffering. We call that a crime. Crime is not exercising a right, and through that wrong act creates an injury. It is a crime against ourselves to willingly choose not to be responsible for our actions and choosing another to take responsibility for us when we can do that for ourselves. That crime has consequences, and that is why we now suffer under government, finance, and religion, as each walls of the cell exist because we willingly choose not to take responsibility for our own lives. We, as part of the singular consciousness, each came here to learn, experience, and grow. The unconscious, inattentive, and those ignorant of the law do none of that, and their experience is largely suffering and discomfort, or what we call hell. The irresponsible require no conscience, as they have no power to wield. The responsible have a conscience that allows them to discern what is in accord with the natural law and what is not. This conscience mechanism is only available to those who accept responsibility, and not until. All principles in natural law lie within us, and conscience is the key to that knowledge. Treat others as you wish to be treated. If you have a question as to whether it's acceptable, then it is your responsibility to first ask. If you do not ask, then you will suffer for that failure. If you are certain that you are within your rights, then permission is not required. However, if you ask permission, it's presumed under the law that you need permission. As we learn, experience, and grow, we wake up and become more conscious, more attentive, and more capable of applying natural law to the immediate now. We then increase our positive effect on our experience, and it begins to affect, in a positive way, a greater amount of our immediate environment. Until one musters the courage to break out of the cell, then they have no opportunity to witness the awesome power that a responsible life and a higher level of consciousness can offer, and they will remain locked in a merciless illusion of luck, chance, accident, and chaos. All things happen for a reason. Luck, chance, and accident, that's a lie. It's like a joke. It's a practical joke. A joke you haven't let yourself in on. Isn't it time that you let yourself in on your own joke? Till next time. As always, thank you for being me.